The base is dropped in Atlanta, Georgia. Soccer Down here live Friday, March 8th. Getting ready for the second match week in the Major League Soccer season in 2019. Atlanta United finally back at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, finally at home after a whirlwind travel lately. Hosting FC Cincinnati. The new boys in the league are coming to town after a 4-1 loss last weekend in Seattle. We'll get you ready for that with Mike Conti and Doug Roberson in hour number 2. We'll also look around the league at the various bits of news and previews for the matches this weekend. You've got some big names who are injured and might not play. Surprise, surprise. And we'll keep you posted on all the rumors and everything going on around the league and around the country in soccer right now. Jason Longshore, John Nelson with you to start things off this morning. And, John, we've got a game tomorrow night.
I've heard.
People who are not up on ATL UTD2, the USL Championship season kicks off tomorrow. We'll be at Fifth Third Bank Stadium at Kennesaw State for Atlanta United 2 and Hartford Athletic. Atlanta gets gets two new teams this weekend. There's a lot of new teams in the USL Championship. You're going to see some new faces coming through town this year. Hartford is one of them. So it's a little hard to prepare for both matches this weekend because you're facing teams that have a combined one game of existence. So it's a little tough, not really knowing what they're going to throw out on the field this weekend.
No, It's been an interesting treasure hunt trying to get everything squared away for Hartford Athletic, and I know that we have the one-game sample size for our friends in Cincinnati, and hearing friend of the show Tom Galerter's call of the goal that shocked Seattle before everything kind of calmed down, at least from a Seattle point of view. Seattle really showed FC Cincinnati it was welcome to MLS, and so. What do you do for your second match, and how are things going to be different? And I'm just going to put that word in quotes and being exceedingly generic about the use of that word for your second match. But it's another tough match for FCC and into one of the toughest environments in all of MLS. And for ATL UTD2, I'm looking forward to seeing what the lineup that happens. It gets trotted out for the beginning of year 2 because once again, it's all about the growth of individuals, and we saw what it was like last season to see a guy like Miles Robinson grow and have his game grow, see Andrew Carlton's game grow, and that's, for me, what's going to be part of the fun of ATL UTD2 is seeing what storylines and which players continue to have that light switch come on for the second year of action up at the ATM this year.
Oh, it's interesting, too. Stephen Glass spoke to the media this week and talked about how important winning was to this group, and Tyler Ruffin echoed those comments. It's not that it's different than it was last year, and there always will be with a second team. It is not winning at all costs, but winning is an important part of developing what you want a group of players to be. We're seeing it with the first team right now. You get a couple wins under your belt, and I think everything changes. Second team, as good as some of the individual development was in 2018, you want to win more games. You win more games, you're going to get in the playoffs. You're going to play meaningful games. You're going to get more opportunities for guys to shine under pressure. Those are the things that make you a better player. You don't become a better player by losing week in and week out. So you have to find that balance, and you've got a veteran in Ruthven who has MLS experience, I think would love to be back there, and this is an opportunity for him to prove that. Stephen Glass is now in charge. He gets to put his stamp on this team, and Stephen's going to be joining us today on Stoppage Time, a special Friday edition of Stoppage Time presented by Aaron's over at the 92.9 The Game studios. So that's at 2 o'clock, facebook.com/929 The Game. Stephen's going to join us at 2:30 to talk about ATL UTD2, and then we'll have a special 1v1 with him as well on the SDH network. Busy day, as always. That's what we do. It's always busy. But be on the lookout for both of those things later today. Let's look ahead to the MLS schedule this weekend, because I know we're going to get deep into Atlanta and Cincinnati, and we'll get there shortly. But let's look at the league schedule this weekend. Starts off tomorrow, 1 o'clock, with Chicago and Orlando. Two teams that I think have very different feelings coming out of the first week. Orlando, Dom Dwyer is close to full fitness, not quite there. He came in as a sub. Nani came in as a sub. Jose Colman came on as a sub. And they turned the game against NYC, and they got a point at home. Chicago had every chance to put their match away in L.A. and failed to do so. And then Efrain Alvarez and Zlatan Ibrahimovic punished them for it, and they got nothing out of a good performance for, 60, 70 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, they had
Sounds
chances to
right.
win it. They had chances for multiple goals, and they did not put them away. This feels like a bit of a toss-up. It's in Chicago, and we'll have to see which squad shows up for both teams. I don't think either one put in a full 90-minute performance last week.
No, and the phrase that you used was, once again, that whole psychic thing that we talked about last night. That where you are with
psychic.
Yes, considering I was about to use that phrase. And Orlando, I think that a lot of folks who came into the season looking at Orlando and just had this vision of James O'Connor face from 2018 were sitting there and saying, okay, that's what I'm anticipating this year, complete and total frustration, a team that can't quite find its way and is worse than that newborn colt trying to figure out how to stand. With Orlando, you saw some things. So you saw some things. You saw more things from Orlando that you probably thought you were going to see, and you saw less from Chicago than you thought you were going to see. So I could completely and totally envision a shared result because of more of Orlando and less of Chicago than we saw in week one than we thought we were going to.
See, no, I saw it exactly opposite. I think Orlando is a team that, if you're expecting Orlando to finish last in the East, I think you're wrong. I think Nani is going to change Orlando. They're going to be better in James O'Connor's second year. If they're not, James O'Connor's not going to see the rest of the season. I mean, it's just as flat out as that because of how bad it was at the end of last season. I think they're going to be better. I think they've added some good pieces. I think they're going to be a better team. Chicago, I had higher expectations, especially after the way they started the match, and they didn't put it away. So I'm more down on Chicago and higher on Orlando. I'm flipping that one. But it's on the road in Chicago. There is a little bit better feeling about the Fire these days. You've gotten things worked out with the supporters groups. We'll see what the atmosphere is like for a 1 o'clock kick Eastern time, noon kickoff locally. That's the part that I'm kind of wondering how that's going to work out.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a game that could really go either way. I want to see how much Dom Dwyer has to give. Is he able to start and go 60, or does he come off the bench again? Does Nani get into the starting lineup? Because if Nani has the impact that I think he could on this team, they won't be an easy opponent this season. But we'll see if he can do that and do it over a sustained period of time. The next match is 2 o'clock, New England hosting Columbus. I think both teams are a big work in progress. And we didn't really learn a ton about either one in the first week. New England was so up and down in preseason. I honestly don't know what to expect. And Columbus, decent performance against a rotated New York Red Bulls squad at home, but not good enough to get the 3 points. Maybe we'll learn a little bit more about these two teams at the end of this one.
Yeah, and in as much as I'm looking at Chicago and Orlando as an early referendum on where those two teams are, I'm not looking at this one with New England and Columbus as being that much of a referendum, because I'm still seeing Columbus as building towards something and New England as building towards something. So I'm gonna hold my cards up my sleeve for another couple of matches when it comes to New England and Columbus. Once again, probably a shared result here, something along the lines of a 2-2 is what I was thinking. So you're going to have teams playing in the early afternoon on a Saturday, and I think both will come out with a point. I don't think it'll be the prettiest game of the weekend at all, but I think that it's just another step in the direction that these two teams hope they're going.
A lot of injuries for LA Galaxy and their trip to FC Dallas. Zlatan
Fix your fantasy teams accordingly.
Yeah, Zlatan hasn't trained the last couple of days with an Achilles injury. He was questionable for the trip, according to Guillermo Barros Schelotto yesterday. Sebastian Lletget, Perry Kitchen, Juninho, all listed as out with undisclosed injuries. Roman Alessandrini listed as questionable with a right hamstring injury. He had to leave the match early last week. Does Efrain Alvarez get a start at 16 years old? He came on and turned the game last week against Chicago. Might be a lot to ask of him. We'll see if Schelotto throws him out there. Dallas, I think they really need to figure out a little more attacking presence. They played with 3 central midfielders that are all going to sit a little deeper. No Paxton Pomykal, no Pablo Aranguiz to start. The situation with Aranguiz is just baffling at this point. You brought him in to be the Mauro Diaz replacement, and he's barely getting on the field. Either it is not showing in training, or I don't know. Luchi Gonzalez is just being very conservative to start the season. I don't think they're creating enough. So do they open up a little bit more at home? Do the Galaxy turn to the 16-year-old to bail them out with a lot of injuries? You know, it's an early season game with a lot of questions. It's typical, but I don't know if we really know what either one of these teams are at this stage.
No, and because of more questions than answers, and one with personnel and one because of dinged up individuals, you know, I'm not thinking this is going to be one of the prettiest matches of the weekend. So what, 1-1 probably? That's where I'm leaning with this one. It seems like the early analysis of the matches here in match week 2 are leaning a lot toward what we saw in match week 1, a lot of ties, a lot of shared results.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so hard to tell with some of these teams with limited preseason and mixed results. Montreal's one that has not really had mixed results. They've looked pretty good in preseason. They looked good in their win against San Jose. On the road, coming back from a 1-0 deficit to win 2-1. They go to Houston. Houston is coming off of a good 60 minutes against Tigres and a bad 30 where they hit the wall. They're not a deep squad either, and they have to go to Monterrey to face Tigres midweek next week. I think they're going to have some problems here at home, and this is a really tough spot for the Dynamo. I think Montreal goes in and gets the win on the road.
I agree. We saw... For those that watched the Champions League match against Tigres, you saw Joe Willis kind of stand on his head in that first 60, and then the defense around him and everybody else hit that wall about the 70th minute. So I want to see what the squad looks like, especially knowing that the reverse fixture against Tigres is coming up midweek. So I'm leaning at Montreal here. So once again, where the Jason Wright Agency Fantasy League is concerned here at Soccer Down Here, you might want to try Piatti and you might want to try Ty Dare. I'm going Montreal full points.
Real Salt Lake hosts Vancouver, 6 o'clock kick. Vancouver lost at home to Minnesota United, the first time the Loons had won a Western Conference match on the road in their history. And Real Salt Lake draw against Houston in the opening week. RSL has to be the favorite here. Vancouver...
Yep.
I don't think they're done building the roster that Marc Dos Santos wants, so we'll withhold judgment a little bit on how things end up. We'll see maybe at the end of the summer transfer window what things look like for the Whitecaps. They had a lot of work to do with a ton of roster turnover, and I just don't think they're done yet, and I don't think they're a finished product. Real Salt Lake is a team that can host a playoff match, and I think it's time for them to step up and start winning these games that they should win on a regular basis.
No, and once again, going toward fantasy, I'm looking at guys like Rusnak and whatever else you'd want to throw from RSL into your lineup. So much like we had Montreal going into Houston getting a full result, I think that Rio Tinto, traditionally a tough place to play. So not knowing what Vancouver has fully yet and RSL being what they are and at home, I'm leaning toward RSL full points.
Next up is San Jose hosting Minnesota. This is a really intriguing one. I'll be going back to watch a large portion of it because San Jose under Matias Almeida, they're going to play a different style than anybody else in the league. This man-to-man kind of press all over the field. Some teams will have problems with it. Others will be able to break it as the Quakes are not really good at it just yet. Minnesota, I don't know. I think they can. They have the talent to. They have the attacking talent to, for sure. They have to be on point, and they have to continue to show that they can win games on the road. They finally did last week. They're in San Jose for this one. I'm kind of leaning sloppy, crazy draw here, honestly, because I don't know if Minnesota is quite ready to deal with this type of system just yet. And I think San Jose will make some mistakes as they're getting better at it. I think like a 2-2, something kind of weird in this one.
Yeah, I was almost going to go 3-3 just because of the firepower that Minnesota has. So I could completely see your 2-2. I will call your 2-2 and raise you to a 3-3.
All right, Seattle hosting Colorado in the nightcap on Saturday night. Seattle with a strong performance against Cincinnati in week 1. Colorado, I think, comes into this with a very good feeling after coming back 2 goals with 10 men in the snow to tie Portland. I think Colorado will give Seattle a tough contest here. I'm still looking at Seattle very closely in the early going. I don't know if they are what they've been in the past. Are they going to slip this year? They didn't look like it in week 1 against Cincinnati. Are they going to look like it here? I don't think so. I think Colorado is going to give them a fight, but I think the Sounders get the win, and they're going to need Jordan Morris to continue to play at the level he did against Cincinnati to do so.
Yeah, I'm looking at 2-1 or 3-1. 2-1, and as Colorado's trying to press for an equalizer late, Seattle gets one to make it 3-1. I think that you saw what Colorado could be, and having the weather as the great equalizer last week. There's reason for optimism in Colorado. I just don't think that that optimism is going to be shared to a not as white covered pitch in Seattle as you had at home last week at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. So yeah, I've got Seattle here 2-1 or 3-1.
4 matches Sunday. It starts with Sporting Kansas City hosting Philadelphia. Sporting will get Independiente from Panama coming in midweek. They have to turn over a 2-1 deficit. They should be able to do that, although I don't think it is as a foregone conclusion as some people think it is. Philly has to show more than they did against Toronto in the opener at home. The 4-4-2 diamond has a lot of question marks around it, and most of them revolve around the defensive side of it. Can Medunjanin do the job as a 6 by himself? Do you need to shift it back to a 4-2-3-1 to get him some extra help as an 8? Bedoya dropping in there as he did last year. Sporting Kansas City feels like a team that can really exploit a poor defensive team like the Union right now. I think Sporting Kansas City wins handily.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And, I want to see, since I watched the game in Panama from La Chorrera midweek, I want to see what the lineup looks like here, knowing that you're going to have Independiente of Panama coming back midweek. So I want to see what the lineup looks like. I don't have any real fear that Sporting can't handle Philadelphia with whatever lineup they trot out there, with whatever 18 they trot out there. So Sporting, traditionally tough place to play. I'll go 2-0 Sporting in this one. I don't think that Philadelphia gets on the board.
DC United coming off a strong win against Atlanta at home. They have to travel up north to Yankee Stadium to face NYCFC. The Pigeons put in a good, 2/3 of the match in Orlando and then conceded twice to give up a draw and give up points. They are a really interesting team to watch without a true number 9 and 2 players up high who are 5'3" and 5'4". It's a really interesting group. When they're on and the passes are being strung together, they're very difficult. They also can get exposed. I don't know about this one because I'm not so sure how well this NYC team is going to work against top teams. I think there are question marks there. However, on a small pitch, that passing combination game could really work well. And Alexandru Matricia is a star. This guy, he was a big signing from NYC, and there were questions coming out of the Romanian league about the price tag. It's 1 game, He looks like he's worth the price tag. He's going to be a fun player to watch this season. DC, they went to Yankee Stadium last year and got a draw late in the season. Can they go get a result here? I don't think so. I think NYC actually gets the win.
Okay, because I was going to say 2-2 draw just because of the pinball that we traditionally see in the Bronx. And I think that the talent on both sides, I think, will lean toward offensive numbers. So I'm looking at 2-2. I think that Matricha will crack the scoreboard. I think that he'll get his. And I'll go Maxi Morales for the other one. And DC United, they're turning into a very fun team to watch offensively. And I want to see how Lucas Rodriguez continues to integrate and all of that. But I'm looking at 2-2. I think it's going to be a shared result because of the pinball that we traditionally see.
Final game of the weekend, LAFC hosting the defending Western Conference champions, Portland Timbers. Portland, 3-3 draw in the snow in Colorado in Week 1. LAFC with a late winner to get past Sporting Kansas City. Portland is on a mammoth road trip to start the season while Providence Park is being expanded. They don't play a home match until the beginning of June. It's got to be tough for Giovanni Savarese with this team on the road week after week. They have to bounce back from conceding twice to a 10-man Colorado. Yes, conditions were part of it, but that raises some questions. It makes you wonder about, okay, Liam Ridgewell, gone now. What's the defense going to look like with this group? You tried to get forwards. You tried 5-6 different players in the offseason. There was talk that you've got multiple targets for a designated player forward. Didn't happen yet. Multiple guys from Tigres are being looked at. Didn't get signed. So what does Portland do in the first half of the season while they're struggling, I think, to complete their roster? LAFC, they're coming in hot after the late winner from Diamande. Who do they start up top? Is it Ramirez? Is it Diamande? Does he get the start because he had the late winner? I think either way, LAFC wins this.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm thinking something 2-1-ish. Wouldn't surprise me if it was 3-1 just because of the firepower that we see from LAFC, especially at home. I think that this early part of the season for Portland is going to be long, but as we've continued to maintain, and you maintained with DC United last year, all those matches at the end of the schedule that you're going to have at home are going to help push you into the playoffs. So I'm not worried about Portland's place in the West long term. I'm looking at them short term and how they try to get things done with a roster still in development and everything going on the road. I don't think it's going to happen this week. I'm looking LAFC full point.
Long term with this roster, I'm a little worried. Once they get home and hopefully make a couple of additions, then I think it's going to be a different tale. But short term, I think it's going to be really difficult for the Timbers to get many points, and I don't think they're going to get any at Bank of California Stadium Sunday night. We're going to get into some TV talk in the next segment. There is talk about what the next national TV deal could look like for Major League Soccer. We'll get into that and more right after this. Stay with us.
Today's show is presented by ATLvCIN Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. Friday, March 8th. If you're looking to get tickets to Atlanta United Cincinnati this Sunday and against Monterey on Wednesday, we're doing another raffle thanks to Andrew Baker, loyal listener from Germany, not able to make it to these two games, but his tickets are up for grabs. The proceeds from the raffle will benefit Soccer in the Streets. Thanks to the Faction for helping us put all this together as well. We're going to announce a winner after the show. You have the whole show to get tickets. Follow the link on the Soccer Down Here Twitter account. Go to the Faction website. Buy your raffle tickets. Again, all the proceeds benefit Soccer in the Streets. If you already have tickets, buy raffle tickets. Support the kids. And if you win tickets, give them to a friend. There you go.
Yes.
Make some new friends.
Yes.
That'll work.
Yeah.
But we're going to pull the winner at about noon. We'll announce the winner on our Twitter page as well. So stay tuned, but get your tickets. Get your tickets. Support the kids. All right, there's your PSA for the morning. And there will be more of them as well because we want to raise a lot of money for the kids. TV deals. Tafka tweeted at us and said, incredibly disappointing that no major network is carrying an MLS match this Saturday. It's not quite that simple. The major networks don't just get to say, we're going to carry a game this weekend because we feel like it. It just doesn't work that way. You have the TV deal that is in place, and it's in place for a long time. It's through the 2022 season. This was the first TV deal that resulted in significant money for the league. And it's not significant money when you compare it to other leagues in the United States. It's not significant money when you compare it to the Premier League and others. But it's significant money for a league that in the past had to pay to be on TV. It's a big change in the way things have been structured. Now, news came out this week. Ian Thomas of the Sports Business Journal said that MLS has instructed all of its clubs not to have any local broadcast deals go beyond 2022, as the league looks to potentially bundle any combo of its national, international, and local rights to maximize its next broadcast deal. That's going to be fascinating, and we've talked about it before. What does the TV landscape look like when negotiations start for this deal? Because we're already seeing teams do local deals with streaming partners. Not even local streaming partners, but international, national streaming partners instead of local TV. Local TV has kind of been the way to go traditionally since TV started with leagues like this. And you're not doing that now. You're looking at what DC's done with Flow Sports, what LAFC's done with YouTube TV, and so on and so forth. You're going to have some kind of a national TV footprint. Beyond that, I don't know what this next deal looks like. And the international side of it, I'm intrigued that that's lumped in to try to do all of it together, because that's a component that doesn't get talked about enough. The international deals to carry MLS have grown exponentially in the last couple of years, and I think it's been a huge source of growth for Major League Soccer. So you're going to look to bundle all of this, or at least have it all available for sale all at the same time. If it gets unbundled, okay, then you might be making more money that way. It just depends on what the offers are. What's your thoughts on just the TV footprint right now for this league? Is it enough? Does it need to be more? Does it need to be a little broader in terms of streaming, in terms of traditional, non-traditional? Where are you, John, at this on MLS and TV and or streaming?
Okay, so let me start with numbers here, and I know that we have math on the show occasionally. Right now, the deal that ESPN, Fox, Univision have, 8-year agreement, began in 2015, $90 million a year. And the NFL, which it's $255 million a year. The standalone deals in MLS, Galaxy and Time Warner Cable, 10-year, $55 million contract. So it's $5.5 million a year. That was signed in 2012. LAFC's 3-year English language deal with YouTube TV, valued at $6 million, but that includes main kit sponsorship. So
yeah, that's a little tough one to value because of that kit sponsorship.
Yeah, Sports Pro Media, that's where I'm getting my numbers.
Right.
So right now,
Flow Sports. Don't forget Flow Sports either.
Yes.
In DC. That was $14 million or so for 3 years, if I remember right.
Okay, so 3 into 14 is 4 2/3.
Yeah.
So let's just take these numbers of 5 and 4 2/3 and 6 and whatever. If you are in a major market and you are being told that you can't go after a deal on your own and that you have to hold back and wait for everything nationally, what makes those major market teams think, let's just use LA as the example, that the $5.5 million that you're getting from Time Warner is going to be matched and or surpassed with this new deal? If you end up with less, so let's say, all right, $90 million a year, we don't know what the team cut is. But if I'm in another sport and I'm looking at the outlay that I'm getting, I'm still looking at things and going, I don't know how my local deal is going to be matched. And I think that you're hamstringing your local deals for the sake of hopefully getting a large payday with this national, international, everybody bundled together. I would be naturally skeptical about something like this when it comes to the deal in 2022. Right now, I think that MLS is doing as best they can with the footprint that's available. I know that we're right now in March. ESPN, Fox Sports, they're with their college basketball product because everything's heading toward the tournament. I understand that, March is a difficult month for soccer to get its place in the footprint. Univision, TVA, TSN.
Hold on 1 second. However, you have an ESPN game on Sunday. You have an FS1 game Sunday after that. So, yes, basketball's in effect here, but you do have national games this weekend. It's not like you're not on national TV. You're just not on national TV on Saturday. You're on national TV on Sunday. Yeah,
and it's the big day. That's the big day in March for college basketball, especially as you're heading toward the tournament.
And the league's tried to do Sunday as a destination day for national TV for a little while. So, I don't that part I'm not as worried about. Keep going.
No, just right now, I think that what you're seeing from MLS when it comes to partners, I think that with what ESPN is doing, especially with ESPN Plus and putting all the matches there, and if you haven't signed up for Plus right now, is it still $5 a month?
Yes.
So to get all of the content that the content aggregator that ESPN Plus is, I think that when you have folks who are gravitating more toward devices and mobile as opposed to large televisions and things like that, I think that ESPN is doing fairly well in steering everyone toward their Plus product. And I think that that's helping out MLS because you have all of the games available there that they can put on the platform. And I think that that's one aspect that MLS has been ahead of the curve. I mean, you got other leagues that are lower than the Big Five who are putting stuff on all these digital platforms. And I think that MLS is trying to get at the forefront of being one of these up-and-coming sports that's doing it, where it's behind a paywall, but at the same time, it's not a paywall that's not unmanageable. So I give MLS a lot of credit for, steering things to plus and making sure that the over-the-air product is still where you can access it as best you can. So right now, I'm completely cool with what MLS is doing, although the idea of bundling everything together for the new contract in 2022 is a bit concerning. And if I was a major market club, I'd raise an eyebrow over this and think that I may not be getting the value that I think I should be getting, especially if I can't negotiate my own local deal. You're pulling that away from me, and I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, but you also still have major market teams that are having to pay to be on TV.
Right.
I mean, that's the flip side is in a single entity league, you're looking at the best for the collective. And if you have teams that are struggling to get on local TV, I get it. And we have to see how it gets resolved. I would assume that you might be able to sub-license deals locally with whatever the package is. If, let's say ESPN, because of Plus. Let's say ESPN throws an absurd amount of money at the league to get it all. Say, we want all of it. We don't want Fox to have it in on this. We want to try to get all of it, and we're going to pay you a stupid amount of money to get it. I think the league has to consider that, and to have this opportunity going into 2022 to start negotiating, it gives them more leverage going into this deal. So I think they do need more than just the 1 or 2 games on national TV per weekend.
Agreed.
I think you'd love to see that. Although, by the time we get to the 2023 season, watching games on stream, on ESPN Plus or whatever streaming partner you have, might be just so much more common that you don't necessarily need the national major network TV as much. Now, I think by that point, it's so hard to predict because things keep moving so fast. I think you'll still need a mix.
Yeah.
But the stream might be such a bigger role here that its value has increased. Reportedly, Flow Sports is getting interest from other teams as well. So the deal they're doing with DC has grabbed a lot of interest. It's going to be very intriguing to watch this play out, and I honestly think MLS could be the one that charts a new path here.
Yeah.
For what TV streaming, all of it can look like. And as the NFL explores streaming a little bit more, and they're kind of dipping their toe into it, baseball, the NBA, same. NHL, what does the NHL do on streaming? I know they have a couple things that go to Plus, but I don't know if they do. I guess they have like a MLS Live type of package for NHL that streams.
Yeah, you have the center ice package for NHL,
TV.
Which is it's TV. They don't. You can do off of NHL.com. You can do a separate thing.
Yes, that's what I
and
thought.
it's another add-on, but
right. It's a streaming package though. So if you want to watch on the laptop, cast it to the TV, whatever you want to do, you can do that. Okay, I think those leagues are going to be watching what MLS does very closely. I think MLS might be able to be creative in doing something a little different. That's the beauty in some ways of being a little smaller and being single entity. You can make these types of deals where, okay, we're going to take everything together, all the rights we have to the television product, and put them out on the market at the same time. And if somebody wants to buy the whole package, cool, pay us. If somebody wants to buy part of it, okay, you have to spend enough to make it worth it to break this up. It gives a lot of flexibility, I think, to the league going forward. Tafka, I'm with you. I think that you'd love to see more games on national TV. I think now the product is a better one to put on national TV, and there's more interest in the product. The ratings also have not been outstanding. It's been incremental, slow, steady growth for the TV ratings with a slight step back, a slight step up. It's been moving in the right direction over time, which honestly is kind of rare when it comes to TV right now and ratings. Not many professional sports products are growing the ratings. MLS didn't have a lot of room for it to decrease, to be honest. They started very low. They've been steadily growing. That's a good thing. But is it enough to put, instead of a college basketball game on a Saturday right now? It might not be. And the package right now has the games on Sunday at this stage, and they're focusing on those Sunday games as the must-watch. I think the biggest thing MLS needs to get to before we go to break here is, okay, let's take Atlanta, for example. Atlanta United fans, very invested in Atlanta United. They're going to watch it whether it's on Fox Sports South, Fox Sports Southeast, ESPN, ESPN2, Fox, FS1, Univision Deportes, whatever. There is a national game on Univision, by the way, on Saturday. That need to note that. But Atlanta United fans are going to watch Atlanta United on any network it's on, period. Are Atlanta United fans going to watch LAFC and Portland Sunday night? Are they going to watch, okay, what would be the game on Saturday that I would put on national TV? In terms of quality, I mean, FC Dallas and LA Galaxy, because of the Zlatan factor, is the 3:30 game. It's on Univision. Would Atlanta United fans watch that in numbers to make it sustainable? Would Chicago Fire fans? Would Houston Dynamo fans? That's where it's a problem. Right now, the ratings are driven by the team that's on. That's why you're seeing the big teams on national TV a lot. This is the same problem that Major League Baseball is having right now. It's a very regional product. It's the same problem that the NHL has. It's a very regional product. The NFL, you throw whoever on in your big Sunday night game, it's going to draw ratings.
Well,
bigger ratings
and also
for bigger teams, but it's going to draw ratings because everybody's going to watch.
But what the NFL has done is they're allowing flex scheduling, which also lends itself to making sure
that I agree with you, but I mean I don't think that's the big picture here. Yes, that helps your ratings late in the season so you don't get a dud. MLS has flex scheduling now too, and I think they've increased it to the final month of the season. That's grown. That's part of it, but you can have a Week 3 game on Sunday Night Football with Tennessee and who's another small market in the NFL? The LA Chargers. You throw that up on NBC for Sunday Night Football in Week 3, it's still going to get a huge rating. Yeah, it is,
because of the product being what it is.
Because it's
the
a
NFL
product.
Yeah, it is Teflon right now because of what it has built.
Yeah, and yes, I think that's going to change over the next few decades. But right now, you can throw any NFL game up and people are going to watch it and the ratings are going to be ridiculous. You don't get that for MLS right now. You get that in bigger numbers for Major League Baseball and the NHL, but you don't get that either nationally with them. The NBA is a little different in that you have your superstars that are going to draw nationally for sure. Does a Milwaukee Bucks, for example, having a great season, are they going to draw nationally right now? No, not at all. Even with Giannis, who's absurd. They're not going to draw nationally. So MLS has to continue to grow the league as a product nationally. And fans need to, if they want the league to grow, support the league and watch these games when they're on. Get to know the league, get to know the teams around the league. If the ratings are there, you'll see more games on national TV. I think that's the biggest thing. It just comes down to numbers. It's an interesting time for MLS, and the question that we just had before we go to break from Alex, could a new deal include some actual pre-post-game coverage for national games? They do have that factored in on a lot of national games now. They're doing it in a 2.5-hour block. So you're kind of splitting the difference. You're getting about 15 minutes of pre and about 15 minutes of post, depending. For example, kickoff on Sunday will be closer to 5:30, so about 15, 20 minutes of pregame coverage for this one. That's the common way they're doing it at this point. I don't know if you'll get to a full 3-hour block where you're doing a half hour of pre and a half hour of post. That might be a big ask at the moment. Just don't know if the ratings are there yet. And
you're also seeing movement of post-game material being pushed over to apps and .coms
Yes.
and things like that as well.
Yes, and that's something that other leagues are doing as well. You're starting to see more of that type of model happen, and I think that'll be more common as those ways to watch content become more common. I think you'll see more of that. Let's take a quick break. Come back. More of your questions on a Friday. If you have them, throw them at us at Soccer Down Here. Mike Conti will join us at 10 o'clock. Doug Roberson at 10:30. Hang out with us. We'll be right back.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student-athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve ATLvCIN of ATLvCIN and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, Friday, March 8th. Getting ready for Cincinnati coming to town Sunday. We will be live in the Gulch for the SDH tailgate show presented by ATLvCIN and Associates. Starts at 1:30. You can watch on our Twitter page at Soccer Down Here. You can also join us in the Gulch at the Faction tailgate. And don't forget, you need to get those raffle tickets right now.
Raffle tickets.
For the kids. Hashtag for the kids.
Raffle ticket. Yes. Raffle ticket, raffle ticket, raffle ticket. Buy.
Go to the Factions website to get set up on the raffle tickets. Tofka says, I try to watch at least one MLS match in addition to Atlanta matches each week. And he has a good point here. NFL has a leg up thanks to fantasy football. That's
and
a huge
betting,
factor for fans when their team isn't on. Yeah, I think gambling in general is a big part of it. Which leads us to another comment this week that we haven't had a chance to talk about. Don Garber, and this is a quote from the commissioner. We're in the process of getting close to a major league-wide sponsorship with a respected gaming company, and I'm very supportive of that, as have the other leagues. It's an evolving process. I think we have to see how it plays out state by state, but once the government says it's okay, we're certainly not going to do anything other than support it. Again, this is another spot where MLS can be, I think, a leader in it. I know the NBA has been very quick to embrace all forms of gambling. It's a pretty common thing in the soccer world, to be honest. I don't know if we'll ever get to a point. I mean, if you go to a game in England, for example, and John, you can probably speak more to this than I can about. You go to a game, you can go down before the game, halftime. I don't know what the limits are, and place a bet on all kinds of different things, prop bets, result changing during the match. I mean, all kinds of different things. You can go down and place a bet at the stadium.
Well, and how many different betting apparatuses are on kits overseas? How many different casinos, .coms are actual sponsors across kits when it comes to the game outside the States? I think that 11 billion is the number that I would quote.
Yes.
And I mean, it's a part of the existence of the sport. That's just how it is. But I mean, all of the different, the Hong Kong casinos, the British casinos, I mean, it is all over the place. So I think that for MLS to embrace this as an opportunity to continue to grow the sport. I know that obviously there's the concerns that are there, but you look at how it's been handled with other sports, and it's been handled fairly well. So I would just sit there and embrace this as another recognition stream and another revenue stream for anybody associated with the product.
I agree that the fantasy side, the gambling side, has had a huge impact in the NFL being what it is as a TV product. That's why something like Red Zone is such a massive deal, and the NFL really hit on that one. It's a little harder for MLS to replicate that because of the nature of the schedule. I wonder, and this is something that fans seem to go back and forth on and are very split on, do you want static start times for weekend matches that okay, we're in the 7:30 block on Saturday night, we're in the West Coast 10 o'clock block on Saturday night, we're in the 3 o'clock block on Sunday, or the 6 o'clock block, or whatever. When the times are going to start week to week and games are slotted into them? Or do you want the variety that you have now where teams kind of do it a little more based off what they need locally? If it's a national game, it fits into a national window. The NFL, it's easy. You know pretty much when all the games are going to be played. You know that in the Premier League. You know that in a lot of leagues around the world. Not every league, but a lot of leagues. MLS is a little different. I don't know what's better. I don't know if there's a right answer here.
No, but I think that as you're growing, I think that you need to expose the game to as many different sets of eyes as possible. And because of how we are these days of almost a very fast food consumption of everything going on around us, I think that if you have something that is tied to your local product, until you become as bulletproof viewing as the NFL is and as the Premier League is, because Premier League, and pretty much in England as well, regardless of division, that 10 a.m. East Coast time, you're going to have a boatload of kickoffs. Yes, for the sake of the television deal, you're going to have something probably at 7:30 Eastern time, and then you're going to have the 12:30. But those were just additions to the television contract. The majority of the time in the divisions in England, it was 10 o'clock kicks, which was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's what it was. But then you're getting to the point now where you're getting 84 million pounds per team. Yeah, you're going to kind of genuflect to wherever the TV deal is. But I think that as you're growing your product, I think you need to have as many eyes in as fast-paced a world as we are. So if you've got something local in the Eastern time zone, you can still attract eyes to it from across the country. Same with Central and Mountain and Western. So I think that you get your 7s and 10s and 1s and 4s, and I think that you're kind of sticking to the NFL way of doing things, but that's just you want eyes, and so those are the traditional time slots that people view.
For MLS, I think you're probably looking at Saturday night, East Coast kicks, West Coast kicks. You're going to have two because of the time zones. But then what you need to avoid is what you have on Sunday, for example, where they're both on MLS Live, but you have Sporting Kansas City, Philadelphia, NYCFC, DC United in a Sunday time slot at the same time. If Sunday's your national TV day, cool, make it special. Make it separate. You want everybody to watch the national TV games, that's it. Don't put other games on Sunday. It's there, little things like that, and you still have stadium issues. You still have time slot issues. You still have things that affect it. You need to get away from that as much as you can in this next TV deal, and we'll see if MLS is in a place to be able to do that. Let's take our final break of hour number 1. We'll come back and wrap things up before we get Mike Conti on the line to start previewing Atlanta United, FC Cincinnati on Sunday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Today's show is presented by ATLvCIN and Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Short segment before we take the break to bring Mike Conti on at 10 o'clock and talk Atlanta, Cincinnati. Couple bits of youth development news we need to touch on. The U14s for Atlanta United will be participating in the Manchester City Super Cup. It's going to be held in San Diego. It's broadcast on ESPN networks and Univision. I think most of the games will be on ESPN Plus or ESPN 3. I'm not sure how that goes. Univision Deportes actually carries a lot of this type of stuff. But it's in May, and it's another one of those prestigious things for the academy to get an opportunity to play clubs from all over the world. You have a lot of clubs from MLS, a lot of clubs from Mexico, clubs from Europe as well who are coming to this. It's a big opportunity for these kids to get that exposure against top international talent. It's a big part of the development process.
And if I just qualified it as saying it's pretty freaking cool,
that too.
I think that'd be, yeah. So, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's great to development, but it's great to be recognized so you can be in places like this. And the fact that Atlanta United's growing as a brand and as a team with all the successes that they're having, regardless of age level, I just think it's, yes, quote, pretty freaking cool, end quote.
Other good news on the academy front, you have Miami and Austin who are officially joining the U.S. Soccer Development Academy for the 2019-2020 season. It starts in the fall. That's awesome to see because now you're getting Miami a year ahead of their launch, and I think they're going full-blown all the age groups from the start like Atlanta did. They're jumping in. Austin, 2 years before they start jumping in. That's a really great sign to see. And partnerships are going to play a big role for both of those MLS clubs as they launch their academies. But you're also seeing new academy developments in Statesboro with Tormenta creating that pathway from youth to their USL League 2 team to their USL League 1 professional team. This is the lifeblood of it. You know, I think every person who is involved in soccer in the United States, whether you are a fan or you work in the game, you want to see the product get better. It gets better because of investment and development work like this, whether it's Atlanta's U14s playing in a big tournament, whether it's new academy pathways in Statesboro, Georgia, whether it's other MLS teams investing in a big way. This is how it gets better. And these are all really good things that need to be highlighted. But we're going to stop here. We'll get into more of this as more developments come on the youth side. We're going to take a quick break, get ready for Atlanta and Cincinnati. Mike Conti from 92.9 The Game joins us right after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student-athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve ATLvCIN of ATLvCIN Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Soccer Down Here, March 8th. It's Friday. It's a 5-stripe Friday. We're getting ready for Atlanta and Cincinnati on Sunday. Myself and Mike Conti will be on the call on Star 94.1 Sunday starting at 4:30. Mike joins us now. What's up, Mike?
What's up, guys? Good morning.
Good morning. Getting ready for a crazy weekend. We've got the Twos tomorrow night. First team on Sunday. Big soccer weekend in Atlanta. Before we start getting into the Cincinnati match, though, we were talking TV, and it came out this week that MLS is asking its teams to not do any TV deals locally beyond the 2022 season because that's when the national deal comes up. And they're looking at bundling the national rights, the international rights, the local rights when they go to market with this. How important is this next TV deal in all of those categories for MLS in your mind?
Vital. If you want a 4th designated player or a 5th designated player, you've got to cash in big time on this TV contract. And, you know, the good thing is the way the MLS contract should almost certainly work is that you take the TV revenue and you cut it into however many teams you'll have at that time, I guess at least 27, if not more, and then one share for the league. 28 slices of the pie. If you get a $30 million TV deal, that's $1 million per team. If you get a $60 million TV deal, it's $2 million per team. I would think MLS will probably be looking for something in the neighborhood of what the National Hockey League gets, at least in the United States. The big share of what the National Hockey League gets comes from its Canadian TV partners and Rogers and Sportsnet and all of that. But you're looking at something that could be an automatic injection of, $3 or $4 million per year per team. The thing that scares me a little bit about it, I hope the league proceeds with caution on this, because they do, in many markets, have a very good local TV presence, including Atlanta. Kansas City. Not a lot of people watch LA Galaxy, but they have a very good local TV deal with Spectrum. New York City, New York Red Bulls being on MSG. I think you have to be a little bit careful with this, because what would happen in my imagination is if you bundle the local TV rights with everything else, you would get into a situation where, I don't know, probably if you have 14 fixtures a week with 28 teams by 2023, if you have 14 fixtures a week, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 on linear national TV and 11 streams. And I think there's a perception in this country right now, and I don't know if it'll change in 5 years, that if you're not on linear television, you are not important. So I think the league needs to proceed with extreme caution on this. I know the financial implications that come with it, and they're huge. They're enormous. But I think you also have to be very, very careful to not abandon your local broadcast partners, which in some markets are extremely vital to growing the game in those markets.
Yeah, it's such a weird time, because then in other markets, the teams already have, and they went streaming, like DC and LAFC and Chicago. All of them opted not to go with a TV partner. It's such a just wide disparity right now, where you're seeing teams making millions of dollars on local deals, whether it's streaming or linear TV, and then you're seeing others pay to be on TV.
Yeah. What I would like to see, Jason and John, is if this goes down the way it's looking like it will go down, give the acquiring rights holder, say if it's ESPN, okay, say ESPN gets all the rights, then give ESPN the ability to sub-license the local rights back to Fox Sports South or back to MSG in New York. But you've got to keep the linear presence on television. Now, I don't think as an American sports society in 5 years we're going to be accepting of everything is just streamed. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we'll be there in 5 years. I might be totally misreading the American public. Obviously, I haven't done the research, but I think you've got to be so careful, because look at what's happened in the CONCACAF Champions League. A lot of people who are technically savvy, who listen to this program, have had trouble finding a way to watch these games because it's stream only on Yahoo Sports. And these are technically savvy people who probably have Roku boxes and know how to stream. So I hope the league is very, very cautious about how they handle it. But the cool part is, if they get the money that I think they can get, it's something that can really push the league in a positive direction. Every club, not just the big clubs, would have a lot of cash to be able to then go out and invest into their soccer product and sign the players that they need to sign to make the overall product better.
All right, John, let's spin it to this weekend in Cincinnati.
There you go.
This is a tricky game for Atlanta United. We talked about it last night on the Overreaction Thursday special. How do you think Atlanta handles the lineup? I'd love to hear both of your thoughts on this. Is it going to be rotated? Is it going to be the first choice to try to get a result and get some confidence? Is it going to be somewhere in between? I don't really know. What do you guys think?
I figured Mike could be the guest. I'll let Mike go first, and I'll just draft off.
Oh, geez. Yeah, well, I
think it's slightly rotated, Mike, for starters. I think.
Yeah. But I don't think it's fully rotated. I think they maybe wanted to go full rotation. I don't think the result in Monterey has any impact on what they're going to do Sunday. I think the result in D.C. might have more of an impact. Because Monterey, I've really digested it to the point where I know this is not an indictment on Atlanta United. Monterey is just one of the best teams in this hemisphere. Those types of things can happen. Now, what we saw in Monterey was some guys just completely ran out of gas. So I don't foresee a scenario where you could realistically ask Michael Parkhurst to play a full 90. I don't think you can realistically ask Eric Rometty to play a full 90 on Sunday, nor Darlington Nagbe. I think you could realistically ask Joseph Martinez to play a full 90. I think you certainly have Tito Villalba as an option to start him, because he barely played Wednesday in Mexico. The wild card in all this is Julian Gressel. The club is saying he's day-to-day now, which sounds kind of optimistic to me. And I guess we'll get a little bit of a hint when the team trains at Mercedes-Benz Stadium later this morning. If Julian Gressel is out there doing any kind of work, that could be a big, big boost, because then I think you are playing Julian Gressel on Sunday. Where I'm at is something that we talked about after the match Wednesday night. I think, and I hate to say this, but I think you're looking at being down 3 goals to Rayados. You do not have a realistic opportunity to advance. So I think you're going all in on MLS now, and you do as much as you can reasonably with your group on Sunday to go as first choice as possible. And then I think Wednesday against Monterrey at home, you're giving some kids some shots. All right, Mikey Ambrose, show us what you've got. All right, Florentine Pogba, show us what you've got. Not to say he's a kid. He's just someone who hasn't really played yet. All right, Andrew Carleton, let's see it. Here's a shot against one of the best teams in the hemisphere. And I say that only because I think you're in such a deep hole against Rayados that you cannot realistically climb out of that now. But I don't believe the technical staff shares my opinion, so I wouldn't be shocked at all if they went full first choice next Wednesday.
It's a balancing act, because you do need a result on Sunday after losing your first league match and not looking that great doing it. But I'm with you on some of the players who have put forth a ton of effort in these early matches. Parkhurst, Remedi are 2 that I look at. Breck Shea as well lately, and we don't know if George Bello is going to be available this weekend.
Yeah.
Those guys all looked very tired at the end of the match on Wednesday night.
I mean, if I'm to guess, I would think if there's still 3-4-3, I think LGP plays because he can't play Wednesday.
Right.
I think Miles Robinson, he's a young guy. Hopefully those young legs are good enough. I think he's playing. Your right center back, I'm not sure. I think your midfield, I'm not quite sure. Because I think Nagbe and Remedi have done a lot of running and put in a lot of work. I think you can get Joseph in there. You hope you can get Gressel. You certainly can get Villalba.
But I think he's in one spot, either midfield or in the back.
He could be your right center back. He could be. Lorenowitz absolutely will play. But, boy, I mean, then it gets really tricky. Does Brendan Vasquez get a start in one of these matches? Does
Carleton?
Yeah. I think if you're Frank de Boer, and I don't think he shares my opinion, but if I were the manager of Atlanta United, I'm thinking you have absolutely got to get a result. I know some people were mocking me on Reddit yesterday. You've got to get a result Sunday. I understand it's only the second of 34 league matches. You've got to get a result. You can't lose 3 straight matches across all competitions. Just from a mental side of things, it's very important for this team to get its mojo back. I don't think they have mojo right now. So I understand people want to downplay it because it's early in the season. This club's never lost 3 straight matches before. You can't let it happen, especially against an expansion side. So I'm trying to get as much as you possibly can out of your first group on Sunday. And Wednesday, let Andrew Carleton and Brandon Vasquez and those types of guys, Romario Williams, show you what they've got.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the notion here of 3 matches in a week, where if you look at things, you should get a result against FC Cincinnati. You should get a result against Philadelphia in a little more than a week's time.
Hey, John, can I interrupt really quick?
Go for it.
It's not you should get a result. You should get a win. You should not be drawing Cincinnati.
Yes, correct. You should get a win against Cincy. You should get a win against Philly. And then there's the match in the middle against Rayados. And I think that, honestly, this week, this 8 days or 9 days or however you want to phrase it, I think it's key early on in the year for Atlanta United to get their mojo back, and B, figure things out a little more, get a little bit of that positive vibe going. I think that this 9 days, and I don't want to overhype it by using the word critical, but I'll use the word. I think it's critical for early season mojo for a team that has had a boatload of expectations on.
Yeah. And you want to see the chemistry develop too. And that's the other part of this. You can't foster chemistry between P.T. Martinez and Ezequiel Barco and Joseph Martinez and, whoever, and Grassel, I guess, to an extent, and whoever's serving them out of the midfield if they don't play together. We saw Rayados almost being overly physical with P.T. Martinez to the point where they fouled him 10 times. Let's look at where you have a better opportunity to forge that chemistry right now and that connection. Are you going to be able to do it against the Cincinnati expansion team on Sunday that did not defend very well at all in Seattle? Or are you going to do it against a Monterey side that's going to kick you? And I know it's a tough ask to make a lot of these guys play 3 matches in a week, but I think it's vital that you start to see these connections develop. And if that means you've got to put a somewhat exhausted squad out there on Sunday to do it, I think you have to do it. And then take next Wednesday as a match that you concede.
I'm with you. You're looking at 3 more games before an international break, and you will have players on international duty. P.T. Martinez called up to Argentina squad. Does he play a lot in that group? It'd be pretty sweet to see P.T. Martinez next to Lionel Messi, for example.
I've heard of him.
That'd be kind of nice for everybody concerned, but I don't know how much he's going to play in that. Joseph, haven't heard anything about Venezuela just yet. Tito has been called up to Paraguay. We haven't heard the U.S. roster for these games yet. We don't know about Nagbe and Kazan. So you're going to have a few guys who are active, but a lot of guys are going to be able to take a rest in that period of time. Remedi, for example, will be able to rest. Parkhurst will be able to rest. I'm with you. I think the idea of playing these guys for 3 more games is very appealing because you're trying to build those connections. And against the Cincinnati squad that you need to win this game at home, you can get some good feeling coming out of it. And that's maybe the biggest need going into this match on Sunday is just a really good vibe coming out of it. Sometimes, I think we understate that at times about how important it is to have a good feeling coming out of a match. Wasn't a good feeling because of the way it ended Wednesday. You need a good feeling walking out of the Benz on Sunday.
100%, and for no other reason than just the mentality going forward. I don't think these guys are enjoying going out in rough conditions and losing and getting shut out. I think they're starting to wear it a little bit, starting to get a little bit frustrated. Miguel Almiron last year went through kind of a slump in the middle of the season where you started to see his facial expression change. And then, he gets a banger against Orlando City and everything kind of, it becomes a torrent of goals from there. I kind of wonder about P.T. Martinez being in the same spot right now. And the sample size is so small. It's only been 4 matches. But here's the reigning South American Player of the Year that probably has not had the kind of impact on these matches that he himself would want to have. If Atlanta United wins on Sunday, I want to see something positive for P.T. Martinez because I think he needs it right now. And I think that's a microcosm of the rest of this team. They need something positive right now. Even if you lost 1-0 at Monterey, I think the mentality is totally different after a 1-0 loss as opposed to a 3-0 loss.
100%.
Totally different. You come back 1 goal down on aggregate for Monterey, you still have a chance against one of the best teams in the hemisphere. That's why, the final 10 minutes Wednesday night, I just hope it was not overly destructive for this team from a confidence standpoint because it changed the vibe entirely of the way that we're perceiving what they've done. DC hurt. There were 2 goals that Atlanta United I don't think really could have done a whole lot on. They gave up 2 goals. The conditions were poor such that they could not string anything down the middle. And you had a referee in Jair Marufo who doesn't like to call a lot of fouls. That's bad news for Atlanta United. You can explain a lot of that. You can explain a lot of the first 80 minutes in Monterey. The last 10 minutes in Monterey, you can't explain. And you've got to get that sour taste out of your mouth.
I'll take it a step further. Sorry to cut you off, John. I don't think you have to explain the first 80 minutes against Monterey. That's a good 80-minute performance.
Well, no, that's my point. That's my point. Like, you can justify the way they played. It was good.
But I think some people don't get that. And this is something that is very key here. Monterey on the road, 180 minutes, 1-0 down through the first 80. You're happy You're feeling very good about that because you gave up a goal off a dodgy penalty. You were starting to threaten Monterey in the second half after you looked a little tired early in the second half. Things are good there, and you need to preserve that. Even the second goal, even at 2-0, you're feeling okay. You went from feeling good to okay to really bad in a 5-minute span. And that's the problem. You can't have that happen. But I feel like everything flipped there. You can't let Sunday continue from that. Mm-hmm. Sunday has to change the narrative. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
No, it's just I think that it has to be that first step in getting that positivity forward. And Mike, I wanted to talk to you about PT a little bit, but not about the repeated fouling and no carding. But I think that in small sections in the match against Monterey, we saw the confidence that PT has in himself. In the one free kick where he was basically 37, 38 out.
Yeah,
put it on net
and went for it and just missed over the crossbar.
So I think that those kinds of things, in that limited sample size that we're talking about, can lend itself, I think, on the whole, to having confidence with Atlanta United. But I still think that, Sunday, get a win because of. Do we know if there's pomp and circumstance that's going to happen? Banners and rings and such?
No rings. The other stuff, I don't know.
Okay, because, I imagine there might be some kind of pomp and circumstance, and you want to...
Yeah, you might want to get in your seats early.
Yeah. So, imagining that there's going to be some pomp and circumstance, you want to leave the building with that first positive step. Then you want to come back and build off of that with the match against Rayados, whatever you're looking to build with whatever lineup you put out there. And then that should be able to push you forward from all of this activity. I can't harp on it enough. I think that first step in positivity has to underline, exclamate, italicize, boldface, exclamation point on Sunday against a team that, while it's going to be great to possibly see Greg Garza come home, you've got to put the hammer down and get the win.
Yeah, a big number, too. This is it kind of has the same feel as last year's home opener against DC United. And there's a little bit of queasiness on that one because you had just lost 4-0 to Houston. And now your bogey team, the team that you had never beaten before, DC United pre-Wayne Rooney, obviously, a match that you felt good about, but you weren't quite sure. And you went out, you got 3 goals, gave up 1 right at the end, but a dominant 3-1 performance. And it kind of was a launching point. I have a feeling this can be a launching point. Because, quite frankly, you could win Sunday. You could get a result against Monterey, not enough to let you go through, but maybe you get like a 1-1 draw or a 2-1 win or something like that. Even though you don't go through, you're feeling good about that. That puts you into Philadelphia. Then you get the break. And now the conversation is totally different about this team. Totally different. But it all starts Sunday. And, for those of you listening who have game tickets, I think the crowd is enormously important now on Sunday. A 70,000 full sellout Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The atmosphere, we saw what atmosphere can do to a club Wednesday night in Monterey in a negative way to Atlanta United. Now it's got to be a positive because these guys need a lift right now. And there's been a lot of negative conversation around town and on social media. And I don't think that's very productive or very helpful. I know people are passionate. People are asking questions. Those are good things. I think all of that can be embraced. But come Sunday, the questions have got to stop. And this team needs a hug right now. And those of you who are going to be at the game on Sunday need to be a part of that.
Sunday's big. Mike, broadcast plans for Sunday. We're on Star 94.1.
We are 4:30 pre-match, 5 o'clock the kickoff. I think it's going to be closer to 5:30 actually.
Right.
And then we'll have a full 1 hour full-time report afterwards. Sunday on Star 94.1, Wednesday against Rayados on Star 94.1, next week against Philadelphia on Star 94.1, and then we're on 92.9 the game the rest of the year.
Scheduling, it's always tricky. We've talked about it on the TV side. Hey, it's tricky for us too on the radio side. But we'll be with you at Star 94.1 for the next 3 matches. Looking forward to it. Mike, I'll see you on Sunday.
Okay, ready for the Carvel to be open on Sunday. That'll feel good.
I'm waiting for cupcakes, dude.
That too. See you guys.
See you, Mike.
Bye.
We're going to take a quick break, reset ahead of Doug Roberson joining us at 10:30. Hang out with us. We'll be right back.
Today's show is presented by ATLvCIN and Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Going to bleed over into soccer over there for a quick hit here. Chelsea's request to suspend their transfer ban until their appeal has been heard was denied by FIFA. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Barcelona and Real Madrid, and I'm sure other clubs, have this exact same situation and made the same appeal, and it was approved, and then maybe the transfer ban was actually changed. I don't know. But I know clubs had an appeal of waiting until the full appeal was heard, and they were able to make transfers. Chelsea is not. What's up with that?
Okay, Hurricane. Price is Right buzzer, definitely, or Family Feud buzzer. Basically, according to Sky Sports, here's how it's phrased. In previous similar cases involving top Spanish clubs, FIFA granted provisional measures which meant transfer bans were not enforced during the appeal process. Now, next paragraph. The FIFA appeal panel chairman, Thomas Bodstrom, joined soccer's governing body after those Spanish cases were decided. So, new appeal panel chairman, new thought pattern, and so right now,
Chelsea you have a precedent.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So you have a precedent. New dude, he's like, nah. And so now Chelsea could go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to grant an interim ruling, but CAS's rulings are pretty much about as well worth the paper that they're printed on.
Well, they better try.
And so now, yeah, but I mean, CAS is it is a paper tiger.
You still better try something because.
Oh, I know. You're banned until January 2020.
You're stuck because you had no chance to prepare for it, and that's I think why you saw the ban held in other cases. This is not right based off the precedent, and I'm not generally one to side with Chelsea on these types of things, but. Yeah, this isn't right, and
this has a stench attached to it. Yes,
Was Jose Mourinho right, as our friend Dalton on Twitter says, that there is a bias against Chelsea? Well, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all.
It might be just an England bias in general, but yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I don't think any English clubs had a transfer ban like this, have they?
No, but then you've also got Manchester City, who's challenging UEFA on FFP right now.
That's different, but yeah, that's going to come to the fore here. This is going to be loads of fun to watch. So keep an eye on it. We'll keep you posted on soccer over there. The garlic bread warlord is
already tweeting.
Is ranting, I am sure, about this one. We're going to take a break, get Doug Roberson on the line. We will preview Atlanta and Cincinnati and make our predictions right after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve ATLvCIN of ATLvCIN and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Getting ready for Sunday. We'll make our predictions here in just a bit. This segment is presented all season long by our friends over at ATLvCIN Associates, also presenting the Josh Bailey Daily poll that is up on Twitter. Make your predictions on what you think's going to happen Sunday. I've been a little surprised by the poll so far. We'll see if Doug Roberson's surprised by the poll. What's going on, Doug?
How are you, Jason? What does the poll say?
There's some negativity right now in the fan base about what's going to happen on Sunday. Far more people thinking Atlanta will lose to Cincinnati than I expected. We'll get there in a minute. We'll come to that. Let's wrap up from Wednesday in Monterey. Not the ending that I think the first 75, 80 minutes really deserved. It fell apart at the end, and I think you have a much different feeling getting out of there than you did a few minutes before. I think it was a strong performance up until the second goal went in, and then the third goal was the backbreaker.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think that the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes weren't managed as well as they could have been. I don't understand. You've got a 1-goal lead, or you're a 1-goal deficit. It's obvious that you're not going to score unless just by a miracle. So why not try to hold on to that 1-0 lead and get out, or 1-0 deficit and get out of there by putting in some fresh legs? You had Larinowitz on the bench. You had Kratz on the bench. You could have taken off Pithy, for example, who was just getting hacked to death, and put one of those guys in and really just clog up that middle and get out of there with just that 1 goal. But the board didn't see it that way and didn't make any subs until the 89th minute, and things kind of fell apart at the end. And I got to think that fatigue played a role, simply because it was 10 of the 11 starters who just played, basically 48 hours before. So it was an interesting ending to the game.
So then let me ask you this, Doug. With these 3 matches coming up, Cincinnati, Rayados, second leg, Philadelphia, are you seeing roster rotation Sunday? Are you seeing the same 11 trotted out so Frank DeBoer can continue to work on system and get the relationship squared away? Are you looking at partial rotation? What are you looking at when it comes to the 18 and the 11 on Sunday?
I really don't know. I thought that he should have rolled out a group of reserves against DC United to save the starters from Rayados, save the starters for Rayados, and that didn't happen. Now they've lost 2 consecutive games, which they haven't done since 2017. If he rolls out the starters again and they're just worn out, or even the reserves, because they haven't played together and not many of them have gotten any significant minutes, you're looking at the possibility of 3 consecutive losses, which I don't think the team has suffered. Maybe the first year they did. At least 3 winless games. And then Philadelphia is not going to be then you got Rayados again, which is going to be a tough ask, and then Philadelphia, which is going to be a tough opponent. This is Atlanta United needs a win. So I really don't know who he's going to play on Sunday. There's so many factors, and it's just hard to parse them.
Yeah, it's a tough situation balancing this with the game coming up on Wednesday as well, and all the minutes and miles, I think, on these guys early on. How important is a positive result on Sunday for this team's psyche at this point in your mind?
It's extremely important. I mean, they dropped the game at DC. There's nothing, to be ashamed of in losing on the road. Pretty much anywhere. The weather wasn't great, but the performance, as has been the case now in 3 of the first 4 games, just was not great, particularly on offense. Atlanta United needs to get a few goals against Cincinnati to at least get some shots on goal. They've only got 3 shots on goal in the past 180 minutes, none from inside the penalty box, none by Joseph Martinez. That's just really, really weird to see. So they need to get some shots on goal for starters, and then we'll see what happens from there.
One of the guys that I wanted to get your opinion on, Doug, so far is PT Martinez and what we are seeing with PT trying to become fully integrated with Atlanta United and the Frank DeBoer idea of starting 11s and things like that. From the time that he's hit the ground until now, what have been your major impressions about a PT Martinez here with Atlanta United?
It's obvious he's got great skill, particularly in close quarters with defenders. He hits a good free kick. He likes to shoot from long range, but they're low probability shots. His defense really needs some work. He doesn't put a lot of effort or energy into his defense, and that's kind of problematic, I think, particularly because I think the team needs to press a little bit more to try to create some turnovers and get some counterattacks a lot higher up the field than they are now. And I just don't think that his teammates quite know how to play with him yet, and I don't think he quite knows how to play with his teammates. He and Joseph have yet to get on the same page. There was an example in what was it? The first half, I think it was, against Rayados. He and Joseph finally had a 2-on-2 situation. Joseph cut to his left and Pitty passed to his right, and attack fizzled out. It's just been that kind of thing through most of the first 4 games.
Let's flip it. What about the defense? I actually thought for a long stretch, and maybe stretches because there were some moments of shakiness, against a team like Monterrey, I think Atlanta's back line looked pretty good until they ran out of gas at the end. I think the defense is starting to show some growth. What about you, Doug?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the defense has played pretty well. The second goal is probably more on Nagbe for just kind of a pretty weak attempt at a tackle at the top of the penalty box. And the third goal, Shea didn't get back. So the guy got to the end line. Remedi was trying to chase him down. The cross came in. Parkhurst drifted toward Miles Robinson's man because that's who he thought was going to try to head the ball. And instead it went over all three players' heads right to the guy open at the back post. And some of that could have just been mental fatigue, because that's when you start to see the mistakes. But I thought they played well. I still think Miles Robinson has been the steadiest of the three center backs through the first 4 games and even going back to the preseason. So I think that is a good building block. But, this kind of get everybody in position and then press thing, it's not working very well for the offense. It's working well for the defense, but I think they need to put their foot on the gas pedal a little bit in regard to that.
So then let me go into the middle of the pitch and ask you about the relationship that we're seeing with Eric Remedi and Darlington Nagbe so far this year. Obviously, Nagbe coming in and then gradually becoming integrated with the starting 11. What about the activity that you've seen in the midfield so far, especially with what Remedi and Nagbe have been able to do?
And that's another one that's just a little curious. It's not meshing very well right now. Larunowicz started that first game with Remedi, and neither one of the guys could get forward enough to support Joseph and Barco and Pitti, so they were consistently outnumbered. It changed against Herediano, but that was, as Jason has pointed out, Herediano was extremely disorganized at Kennesaw State. Nagbe was given all the space in the world to get forward, and he did take advantage of it then. But then the last 2 games, DC and Riados, I didn't think Nagbe nor Remedi got forward and kind of joined the attack. They both kind of hung back. So again, it was just 3 players on offense, and if the wingbacks could get forward, trying to take on 4 to 5 defenders, and it just didn't work. Nagbe or Remedi, one of those guys has got to get a little bit higher up the field to give Joseph and Remedi Joseph and Pitti and Barco some triangles to work with, some passing triangles, and right now it's just not happening. So I guess there needs to be better communication between Nagbe and Remedi for that to happen.
So you mentioned Herediano, and I've talked about it a good bit, where they tried to change the formation in the second leg in Kennesaw. Cincinnati, the opponent on Sunday, has really been all over the place tactically in preseason and in the opener. It's went from a 3-5-2 to a 3-4-3 to a 4-2-3-1. It's kind of all over the place. What did you see from them in their first match in Seattle that would give you anything to worry about on Sunday for Atlanta?
Not a whole lot. That first goal, their first goal in franchise history was a fantastic goal. They don't, Fernando Addy and Maddox. Maddox, I guess, can worry you a little bit. Addy just has never really given me pause for any kind of threat. It's just going to be the set pieces. I think Cincinnati can take advantage of that because they do have a lot of height in the back. Atlanta United probably still has nightmares about Kendall Waston in Vancouver off set pieces from 2 years ago. So that's probably the biggest concern, I think, if I were Atlanta United, particularly because they struggled in that area again at Monterey.
Yeah, set pieces have to be a concern here. When you're looking at Nick Hagland, Kendall Waston, if forced lasso plays, you have some huge targets for this team in Cincinnati. Crossing is going to be difficult into that. It was Waston and Hagland who started at center back. We'll see if Alan Koch makes any changes. Alan Cruz, the central midfielder, designated player from Herediano, who was signed to Cincinnati, didn't make the trip to Seattle. And there's some news coming out of Cincinnati this week that he was left out, so guys who have been part of this team from early on were part of it for day one. That's a great story, but why are you leaving a designated player out of your 18 and not traveling to your opener? Kind of strange when you look at this.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense at all. I think Orlando only started one of its DPs, and then as soon as they got Nanny and Dwyer on, they got a couple of goals and tied NYCFC in week one. So that just kind of underscores the importance of having those DPs on the field and playing. So it also, emphasizes your point of why did Cincinnati make that decision?
Yeah, really strange. We'll see if Kenny Seth, the U.S. international who was just brought in on loan from Anderlecht using TAM, we'll see if he gets into the team straight away. He would give them a spark and definitely more of a wide presence. I think he'd probably play out wide on the left. That's what's hard about this one is we really don't know what Cincinnati's going to throw at Atlanta on Sunday. And when you take that and combine it with Atlanta, we don't know what Atlanta's going to field. I don't think it'll be the exact same starting 11 from Monterey. I don't think it could be. I think you're going to have guys who need a break. But how many? And what does it look like? This is maybe the toughest game to predict and prepare for that we'll see this season because of that type of stuff. So, John, you get the short straw on making a prediction. Make one.
Gee, thanks.
No problem.
I'll go with a scratchy at times 2-0 Atlanta United win. I think it's going to be probably 1-0 at the break, and then they score another one on the first 5 minutes of the second half, and then 2-0 there, and everybody goes home happy.
Doug, what do you think about Sunday?
I think it'll be a 2-1 Atlanta United win. I think it's going to be an extremely ugly game. I think Cincinnati will probably score off a set piece. I don't know who's going to score the goals for Atlanta United because it's impossible to predict what the lineup is right now.
Yeah, it's really difficult to call this one and give any kind of details on predictions. I think Atlanta, even with a mixed lineup, is a much better team, and I think this is an opportunity for them to take advantage of a weak opponent. I don't think Cincinnati is even what I expected they would be at this point. I was probably one of the most optimistic about it. I think they are just a bit of a mess at the moment. They have talent. I don't know if they know what to do with the talent they have just yet, and we'll see how long it takes them to figure that out.
They spent money at redundant positions. It's really kind of hard to figure out. You could see what they were doing in the beginning, but then they just kind of started piling onto the same spot. So I don't quite know.
Yeah, I think you have good center backs in Waston, Haglund, Lasso. I think Lasso's an MLS guy. Hassan Nadam is a good depth piece there. You have a lot of central midfielders. I mean, Victor Ulloa, Caleb Stanko, Leonardo Bertoni, who had the goal, Alan Cruz, the designated player. You have, maybe question marks about a guy like Nazmi Al-Badawi, who's been a star in the second division. Can he step up? Frankie Amaya, the first pick in the draft. Is he ready to give you minutes? You have a lot of players in similar positions, so you need to clog the middle. I think out wide they have problems. Alvis Powell was dreadful defensively in the first game. I think Atlanta can take advantage there. They can start to get some of this wide play that they're going to have to be successful this season. You'll see some of it break through on Sunday. I think it's a 3-1 win. I think it is a little sloppy. I'm with you, Doug. I think it's a goal from a set piece that Cincinnati gets, probably Waston. And Atlanta's going to have to work for this one maybe a little more than we thought they would. Some of that's going to be down to the rotated squad and just building those connections as you go. It's a weird one. It's a weird home opener because of all this and because of what happened in the midweek and because of what happened in D.C. Doug, what else do you have coming up in AJC to break this down and explain how weird this is on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get to talk to Pity Martinez today. I'd love to ask him about officiating in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yes.
His
lumberjacking
so far. And then I'm hoping to talk to DeBoer. Well, I know we'll get to talk to DeBoer, but just ask him, is he seeing what he needs to see from the team through these first 4 games and how much of the struggles in 3 of those 4 games is down simply to the conditions, the environment, and the opponent. You go back to Herediano, the field was basically concrete, uneven. You go to DC United, it was a cold rain. The grass, again, was a little bit high, which makes it hard for Atlanta United to move the ball around. And then Monterey is arguably the best team in the Western Hemisphere. So that's always going to be a tough ask. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more of that. And I know one of our interns has a great story coming out on Sunday about some of Atlanta United's homegrown players. So I hope everyone will get a Sunday paper and read that.
Looking forward to it.
And I'll have an injury report, too. Posted as soon as we get to talk to DeBoer.
All of the reports. Doug Roberson, AJC on Twitter, Atlanta United News Now on Facebook. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
See you on Sunday. We're going to take our final break, come back and wrap everything up after this.
Today's show is presented by ATLvCIN Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Final segment. Soccer Down here, Friday, March 8th. Busy Friday. Thanks to Mike Conti and Doug Roberson for joining us and getting ready for Cincinnati on Sunday. Lots of news breaking during the show today. We have the Chelsea stuff. Chelsea's issued a statement. They are astonished at the decision. And astonished. We'll see where this goes. It's a good word. It's a good choice of word in the statement from Chelsea. We have reports from around Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the team is training this morning, that crosswalks have been painted red and black, I think with some gold trim. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Joe McCurdy, for tagging us in that one. Pretty cool look. I like it. Good picture there.
Yep.
We've retweeted
Down with that.
On a completely different front, we have a report from the New York Times, Andrew Das, that all 28 members of the U.S. women's national team have filed a gender discrimination lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer Federation. This has come out of absolute nowhere because all reports recently and all conversation recently, and we know there's been issues in the past, everything has been very positive, and all the comments lately have been that things are heading in the right direction, progress is being made, things are good. And then, boom, this happens. Now, it's just been reported in the New York Times in the last 30 minutes. Andrew Das said that U.S. Soccer had not seen the complaint yet and has not immediately responded to a request for comment. So it's a little hard to even jump into, okay, what went wrong? Because that's my question, is what changed from the initial conversations around a lot of these details to progress is being made, we're moving forward, to now this. What happened to change it? The timing is awful from a U.S. Soccer Federation standpoint because you're a few months away from a World Cup. I don't think the timing is great from the team side of it because you're a few months away from a World Cup. And in my opinion, it's already shaky because the She Believes Cup didn't go that well for the U.S. You can spin it however you want that you beat Brazil. Brazil didn't look good in this tournament. England won the tournament. You didn't beat England. You didn't beat Japan. You're going to have to win some games against big teams this summer. And you have not a great record going in 2019 into this. You lost against the hosts in France. You're probably going to see them in a quarterfinal in Paris. And now you have this distraction. I don't know. I don't know who's at fault. I think there's probably a lot of issues to go around here. And we know some of the complaints that came up before. And there were things that U.S. Soccer was just flat out, I think, not paying attention on that needed to get changed. I mean, things like the per diems. It was in the CBA for the women that both sides were operating under, although I think it still needed to be negotiated at the time. But the one they were operating under was that the per diems would be the same on the women's and the men's side. Well, the men, their CBA came up later. They negotiated an increase on the per diem. The women should have been bumped up to that automatically, and they weren't. Stuff like that, when you're already in conflict with a group, is just kind of dumb. Like, it's just not paying attention. And it creates more drama and creates more stress. And there's plenty of other reasons for this lawsuit. So stay tuned. Stay tuned because this is going to be a huge, huge, huge story in the lead up to the World Cup. And the fact that it got to this point is a huge problem. This should not be the conversation around this team going into the World Cup. There's a lot of conversations to be had about tactics, about lineups, about form. You don't need to add this to it because I don't think the U.S. women are the favorites going into the World Cup. I don't know if they're a favorite to be in the semifinals. I think it's going to be very difficult, and this makes it even harder.
And this lawsuit ends the wage discrimination complaint filed by some of the same players back from 2016. According to DAS, one player told me they were basically tired of waiting. Filed on International Women's Day, but 3 months before they begin their defense of the title in France.
And it's 28 members of the team right now. It's also seeking to represent any former players and also current professionals, but maybe not part of the pool, who have represented the team since February 4th, 2015. That's where you're going back to. Request a back pay and damages and other relief. Potential award that could reach into the millions of dollars. Go check out Andrew Doss's piece over at the New York Times and be on the lookout for updates as they are made. The longer this drags on, the more it's going to be a problem going into the World Cup. And this is not what this team needed because I think they already had enough questions.
Yeah. Demand for a jury trial, class action, and all 28 members of the entire women's national team are your plaintiffs in the case.
And also, remember, U.S. Soccer is managing the NWSL right now. That does play into this to a degree in how is that going to go down? How is all this going to be handled as the NWSL is in a big year and they need to grow? And now they've ended the relationship with Lifetime TV. They don't have a national TV partner. In a World Cup year where I think the NWSL would love to see the U.S. make a deep run, it would help the professional league. There's just so many questions right now, and this is not a good time for it. Not to say that they should have held off. Not saying that at all, because I don't have the details of the lawsuit, and I don't know what changed from things are going in a good direction to things are going in a bad direction and we need to file a lawsuit. I don't know what changed. I'd be curious to hear all of this as it comes out, but the fact that it's gotten to this point is not good for any of the parties involved. It's not going to be a good situation for anybody involved right now, and it's a huge distraction in a World Cup year. So we will see how it gets handled. We'll see how soon it gets handled, if it gets handled without a lawsuit, because I don't know if you're going to be able to avoid it at this point, or at least a court case. Sorry, not a lawsuit. The lawsuit's filed. I don't know if you're going to be able to avoid this going to a trial at this point.
Yeah, and with the players basically telling Andrew Doss or the representative saying they were tired of waiting and they want a jury trial, and I think you're going to get right up against the notion of a jury trial, and we'll see who blinks. This is stuff that has taken entirely too long to be addressed in one form or fashion, and now the women's national team players have taken this particular step, and I want to see where it develops from here. But this has all the indications of being beyond just, I mean, it could get very, very ugly for both women's national team ideas and for the NWSL.
We'll have more on this next week as more details come out. This seems like a prime candidate for a Women's Soccer Weekly podcast that will drop on you next week. Now that the schedule is not going to involve quite as much traveling for me, we'll be able to get back on a normal routine on that type of stuff as well. We do have a little bit of air horn. Doug Roberson, after he leaves the show, tweets this bombshell out. Looks like Franco Escobar will train with the first team today.
All right.
Don't know if he's going to be available to give you 60, 75, 90 minutes on Sunday, but it was a broken clavicle. I don't know when he was able to start fitness work, because remember, he had no preseason. This happened on day 1 of preseason. So where's his fitness at? You could really use him if Gressel's unavailable. That would help a lot for either Sunday or Wednesday or next Sunday. He's training. That's a good sign. Usually when guys get back into training with the first team, that means they're available. Even if it's off the bench, that would be a big lift, I think, for Sunday, with Gressel looking day-to-day. And don't know if he's training with the first team. Ankle injuries can linger a little bit. We'll see how long this one takes.
And it's also another good sign for these last 3 matches heading into the break, because if you can get Escobar, if you get him some reps, get him out there for some minutes, then continue to work on fitness and everything else in the break, then have him ready to go on the flip side of the break. I think that this is one of those situations over the next 3 matches worth taking a peek at.
Yeah, this is a very good bit of news this morning. Stay tuned to all of the usual suspects who are at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for training. Frank DeBoer will be speaking to the media, and you will get some players speaking to the media. Not sure which ones yet. Doug wants to talk to Pete. We'll see if he's available, but Frank DeBoer will be speaking. Quotes will be made. Tweets will be made. Make sure you're following all of our usual friends that we have on the show, because I'm sure all of them will be talking about this all morning long. I think that media availability is actually coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned to Twitter. Buy raffle tickets. This is your last call.
Yes.
We're going to announce a winner at noon. Last call to buy raffle tickets to get tickets to the Cincinnati match and the Monterey match. Sunday and Wednesday, all the proceeds from the raffle benefit Soccer in the Streets and their Metro Atlanta programs, giving more kids an opportunity to play. You can be part of that. Buy a raffle ticket. We'll tweet it out again. Also, visit the Faction page. You can get it there. Broadcast plans for us will be live from the Gulch 1:30 at the Faction tailgate for our SDH tailgate show, presented by our good friends at ATLvCIN and Associates. About 30 minutes of pre-match conversation. You can watch live. You can watch on Twitter, twitter.com/soccerdownhere. Watch the video from there. Maybe we'll get our event crashed by Jay Riddle, by Kelly Francis, Jessica Sharman, the Unrelegated crew. They're partnering up with ATL UTD Fan TV now. The tweet is out about that. I thought somebody was going to get slapped in the promo. That would have been cool. I think Jay was cruising to get slapped, maybe by one of his teammates.
There you go.
I'm sure it's
Join the Fantasy League.
I'm sure that's happened. And yes, join the Fantasy League so you can beat all of us, because we're not very good at it. Except for the commissioner, Jason Wright, who's leading the Fantasy League. Somebody knock him off, please.
At Jason Wright with a WAGEN on Twitter. That's how you get the link and you join in. And we had over 110 people last year, and we're getting to that number right now. So join the Fantasy League and beat us when it comes to getting stuff, because that's what that league's all about. You get stuff.
So we've talked about Sunday's broadcast plans. Saturday's broadcast plans. We'll be on the call
Yes.
for ATL UTD 2 live from Fifth Third Bank Stadium in Kennesaw. Tickets are available. Come out, watch the second team. I'm really curious to see what the lineup looks like. We saw some academy players in it in Chattanooga in a preseason match. We saw some first-team players in it. We saw some USL guys in it. It's going to be interesting with Sunday and the possibility of a rotated squad there, what it looks like on Saturday night, because we don't really know yet.
Mm-mm. And first game of the season in the USL Championship, and who are going to be the storylines this year for the twos? Once again, you look at last year, you saw a bunch of different guys during the season step up, and Miles and Andrew, and then you get to see the academy guys come in: Alessandro Castro, Dylan Gaither, Jackson Conway, and now Will Vint made an appearance in Chattanooga. What do we see from him? Anderson Asayadu. A lot of good storylines and a lot of good players who are wanting to make themselves ATLUTD ready. And that first step is up at the ATM against Hartford Athletic.
If you can't make it out, you can watch on ESPN Plus. We'll have the call for you there starting at 7:30, if I have my start time correct.
Yes.
7:30 there. Sunday, it's a 5:30-ish kickoff. Our broadcast time for Star 94.1 is 4:30. Today, because there's always stuff going on, stoppage time presented by Aaron's at the 92.9 The Game Facebook page. We'll have Stephen Glass from ATLUTD2 joining us. We'll talk about Monterey. We'll talk about Cincinnati. We'll talk about the MLS schedule. We'll talk about the USL Championship with Stephen. Busy times. You can watch that, facebook.com/929 The Game. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything?
Let's see. Fantasy League, raffle, twos, us, Atlanta United, stoppage time, Stephen Glass, FC Cincinnati. I think you got it. I think you're there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll have March the Match Day podcast coming out Saturday over at 92.9 The Game, the Off the Woodwork folder. It will be myself and Kevin McCloskey from the FC Cincinnati broadcast team, their analyst. We're going to talk about Cincinnati's opener and what to watch for Sunday from the Bins. That'll hit sometime on Saturday. I think that's all the talking I can do between now and then, so I'm going to stop now and rest before stoppage time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for interacting with us. We appreciate it. We'll be back on Monday for an Overreaction Monday. Hopefully a happier one. Much plot to y'all.
Much plot.